Okay, I think I'm live. I'm live on TikTok and YouTube. Hi, everybody. This is the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube or TikTok. So, not really sure how it's going to go. And I may have to cut the live short if Juniper wakes up. She just went down for her nap. But I kind of just wanted to pop on. I was inspired by my friend Emily. What's her name? I wrote it down because I knew I would forget. _ Emily Nicole Adams on TikTok. After her Disney trip, she always comes on and does a wrap up of her Disney vacation. And I thought that was a really good idea because then you guys can pop on if you want to and ask me questions, which I don't know if anybody will pop on because I didn't really promote that I was doing this live today, mainly because since we've gotten home from our trip, Juniper has not been sleeping the greatest. So the first day we got home, she slept basically all day because she did not nap really on the trip. She'd get a half hour here and there. But the day we came home, she slept till 10, woke up for 2 hours, took a 2.5 hour nap or 3 hour nap, woke up for another hour and a half, took another hour and a half nap, and then went to sleep that night. So she was definitely catching up on her sleep. But since the first 2 days, nap time has not gone well, and usually she's a really good napper. So we're just still getting the swing of things. So if she wakes up, I will have to end the live. So I don't think anybody has joined, but that's okay. We're just going to keep on moving. I think you can go back and watch these too. So if you're jumping in the middle of the live, you can always go back to the beginning and watch to see what I said about the beginning of our trip. So we flew out on May 22nd. We flew out of Buffalo International Airport, which I don't know why they call it International Airport because it's literally just I don't know, Buffalo to Florida and New York City. So we flew out of Buffalo and our flight was supposed to leave at 8 p.m. and didn't take off until 8:30. We didn't board till 8:30. It was delayed 30 minutes. I think we took off at 8:30. So that was a bit disappointing because the whole day I was checking the app and it kept saying another 10 minutes delayed, another 10 minutes delayed. And flying with a 20-month-old, my daughter Juniper, that was stressful because we were heading closer and closer into her nap or into her bedtime. But she did not sleep on that flight. So that was a tough flight. I had seen so many TikToks leading up to the trip saying 18 to 20 months is the worst time to fly with a toddler. And I fully agree with that. I kind of wish we had bought her own seat and had her sit in a car seat on the way there because we checked her car seat. So we had her car seat with us. It was really hard. And thankfully I had my mom and my sister with us and we were all in a row, but she just wanted to keep kicking the seat in front of her, which I don't like getting my seat kicked. So I felt really bad about her kicking the seat in front of her. And she didn't really cry that much on the flight there. The flight home was awful, but just getting to Florida, it's you just want to get there. And then to have a toddler that doesn't want to take her or go to sleep when she's usually going to sleep, that was definitely stressful, but made it to Florida. So we're all good there. Had a couple hiccups when we were checking in for the flight. Apparently I put the wrong birth date for my sister when I did her flight, which I don't know how that happened because I put 9/7 for her birthday, which is Juniper's birthday. So I get how it could have happened, but then I put the right year for my sister's birthday. So I feel if I would have been intentionally putting in Juniper's birthday, it would have been 2023 for Juniper and not my sister's birth year, but they were able to fix it. It wasn't a huge problem, but it was a little stressful just getting through security with that issue. So we landed, and the whole time we were flying to Florida, I definitely thought we were getting upgraded to club levels because we didn't get the text for our room ready until I think 6 p.m. And at that point, it was it tells you the building you're in, and we were staying at Grand Floridian. So the room text comes in, and it's you're in building, I forget what the building number is, but it said Sugarloaf. You're on the second floor. Here's your room number. I think it was 6202. And so I'm thinking Sugarloaf. We've stayed in Sugarloaf before, and it was club level. Dan and I stayed in Sugarloaf, I think in 2019. You can go watch the vlogs on our channel. So we had stayed there, and it was definitely club level back then because we were in that building distinctly Sugarloaf. So the whole time we're flying there, I'm thinking like, oh my God, we got upgraded. If you check Google, it still says Sugarloaf is club level. Hey, Taylor. He still says Sugarloaf is club level. So we checked in. We went up to the woman. I'm like, hey, I think we're in club or the Sugarloaf club level. And she's like, no, only the main building is club level now. So that was a bit disappointing. But in the end, it was fine. We were, like I said, we were in Sugarloaf, but the location for Sugarloaf is really great. It's literally right next to the main building, across from the quiet pool, and then like on the other side of the building is the quick service. So like we were super happy to be in Sugarloaf, but we didn't get to the room I think until like 1 a.m, and Juniper did not sleep that whole time. So that was a late night for her, but she was a trooper. She was really, really good. Oh no, she did sleep in the car on the way from the airport to the hotel. We did stop to get like a couple waters, some beer, fun stuff like that from a grocery store before going to the hotel. But yeah, it was a late, late night. And then the next morning, we had to get up early because we were going to Topolino's Terrace, which I was able to push back. Originally, we had a 10:25 reservation, which thank goodness I was able to push it back because we would have not made a 10:25. I don't know what I was thinking because when I booked it, I could have picked like any time. I just wasn't thinking clearly of the fact that we were going to get in so late that first night. But we were able to push it back. I think the latest I got was like 11:25, so like a whole hour, which thank goodness, because we were even late for the 11:25 reservation. So we went to Riviera and had breakfast at Topolino's, which was so good. Definitely like my favorite character breakfast in all of Disney World. I love the characters and the outfits that they're wearing. The food's really good, and they bring the food right to your table along with like a bunch of pastries, which is nice because the buffets are stressful because you just always feel like, oh my God, I'm going to miss a character. And even if you don't care about missing the character, like if you're with a toddler, they're not going to redo their reaction if you miss it. So that was always stressful. Like when we did Hollywood and Vine last year. So I was happy that like the food comes to you. You don't have to leave the table. And when Dan and I did Cape May Cafe in December, Juniper was definitely afraid of the characters when they would come close, and Donald scared her at that meal. And then Donald Duck once again scared her at Topolino. She does not like when they come up behind her and she can't see them like coming closer, which fair enough. I mean, she's this big and she's got this big old duck head coming behind her. So she definitely did not like Donald Duck again. I think I have pictures of her like clinging onto my neck. She was definitely afraid of Donald Duck, but Daisy was probably her favorite. She gave Daisy Duck a hug, which was so cute. She liked Minnie and she liked Mickey, but her favorite part of the breakfast, I think, was just the like when they dance around the whole restaurant. I think we got to see that twice. They like basically all the characters rotate throughout the restaurant, and we had like the spot where they stop and dance next to us, like pretty close to us. And she loved that part. That was probably her favorite part of the whole meal. And we didn't. So if you're 3 and under, you don't have to pay for kids to go to character meals. But if you wanted them to have a meal at that specific restaurant, you would have to pay the kids' prices. So we didn't pay for her to have like her own separate meal, which I'm so glad we didn't because she's such a picker for breakfast. Like she just doesn't eat that much for breakfast, and she just ate stuff like off of my plate and my mom's plate and my sister's plate. So glad we didn't pay like the $35 for her to eat food at that breakfast, which I don't love that they do that. Like kids are 3 and under should be free. And if you go to a buffet, like they're not going to charge you a kid's price for a toddler eating like a couple pieces of egg off of the buffet. So I'm good. I'm good. How are you? But yeah, we had breakfast at Topolino's, and then we took the Skyliner over to Epcot, and it was a hot one. I think it was I don't know who heard it. I think my mom might have heard it from somebody like in the parks, which take this with a grain of salt, but somebody had said that the weather in May was like the hottest it had been in 60 years for that weekend. And it was hot. It was like 94 degrees. It feels like 99 or 100. It was very, very hot out. But we just made sure to stay hydrated and like stopping for snacks and stuff, which helped. But when we got to Epcot, the main priority was to go take pictures. So we had to go take pictures with like the flowers and stuff because it was flower and garden. And I was surprised there weren't a lot of PhotoPass photographers like in the areas where you would normally see PhotoPass photographers for flower and garden, like along like by those two shops when you first like World Showcase into what used to be Future World. I don't even know what the areas are called now, but there was like one photographer we passed, and they were with like the Mickey and Friends flowery statues. So that was weird to not pass a ton of photographers, but we got some really cute pictures. So we did that. And then we headed over to Connections. My mom was going to sit there with my daughter Juniper while my sister and I went on Guardians. And we were definitely missing the whatever the Goofy's summer bash thing is now. That wasn't open yet, and they were like working on converting the building. So it would have been nice to have them go sit in there because the AC in that building is like primo AC. But Connections was a good spot for them to hang out while we went and did Guardians. And I love Guardians so much. It doesn't make me feel motion sick at all. My sister in the past has not enjoyed the ride, but she did okay. She said it didn't really bother her this time. We had Disco Inferno. I have no idea. I know I was like 5 for 6 on the songs before I had Juniper, and I don't know which was the sixth one that I didn't have. It could have even been Disco Inferno, so I could have completed the list. I need to go back through like every time I've written it because I think I've either like put an Insta story up or at least have a video on my phone that I could like look at and listen for the song. But I just probably need to just start a new list and put Disco Inferno on there and then start from there. But yeah, that was such a fun ride, and Juniper slept the whole time we were on that. So then when we came back, she was just waking up, I think. Oh no, me and my sister, we went and got Starbucks because we had the dining plan, so we used snack credits for Trenta's at Starbucks. We got some waters and stuff. And by the time we got through Starbucks and finished our drinks and stuff, Juniper was just waking up, which was perfect timing. And we went over to Spaceship Earth and we took some more pictures. Pictures are a priority. And went to see like the front topiaries because we didn't see those. Obviously, we came in the back of the park. So we saw like the Moana and Maui and all those topiaries, which Juniper loves Moana and Moana 2. So we were happy to get to see those. We rode Spaceship Earth. And then we went over to Moana Journey of Water, which you would think on a hot day, a Journey of Water, like all the water features would be refreshing, but it's just so hot in there. Like the way that they designed it, it just keeps the heat trapped. It was so hot. Oh my God. And then we even waited for the photo pass in there with like the Te Fiti statue and the Spaceship Earth, which the pictures came out really cute, but man, it was hot. And I don't know what Disney could do to fix that. Maybe some fans. But Juniper enjoyed playing with all the water and stuff, so that was fun. But it even seemed like the water wasn't getting cooled. I think it was just like a hot pool in Florida in the middle of summer. So just keep that in mind. And you can't bring strollers in there, so you have to either like have your kid walk or carry them. And they're going to get wet, most likely. So, but which getting wet in 99-degree weather is fine because we dry literally as we walked out. But it was still a wet, hot experience. And then after we did Moana Journey of Water, like I said, it was so hot. So we ran into, hurriedly walked over to the Seas with, well, not the ride, the Seas, just the aquarium part. That's a good AC spot if you're looking for an AC break in Disney World. And we went and saw the manatees, and I just wanted to like cool us all down, get Juniper cooled off, reapply sunscreen and all that stuff. And then we kind of like figured out what we were going to do the rest of the day. And my mom and sister didn't realize that Test Track wasn't open still because they're redoing it. And they were craving something thrilling. So we decided to split up. They went and did Soarin', and then Juniper and I went and did Living with the Land, that we were all still in AC, and me and Juniper got to do something, and then they got to go do something. So that was fun. And it was fun to do Living with the Land. She liked seeing all the plants and stuff. Although she did think that she was going to see Moana when she saw like the boat structure in the ride. So that kind of threw her off, but she got over it pretty quickly. But I could see where like a kid would think, well, there's Moana's boat. Where's Moana? It would have been cute if they would have put like a Moana topiary in the ride, because they had little spots throughout the ride that had different themes from the Disney movies. Like I think there was a Tangled section, a Tiana section. So if they would have put like a Pua or a Moana, but I'm sure they didn't want to waste topiaries for Living with the Land, but I think it might have even drawn even more people in to do Living with the Land. But that was fun. And then after that, we should have done the butterfly garden, but the way that we walked, we didn't go past it. And by the time we realized we didn't do the butterfly garden, we were almost to World Showcase, and we were all just like, it's too hot to go back. So that's just not going to happen. So we decided to skip it. And literally, the reason I remembered that we didn't do the butterfly garden, we were walking by like the Mickey and Friends topiaries, and a monarch butterfly flew by us. And that was really kind of all we needed for us. We do like seeing the butterflies, but usually the monarchs kind of like hide towards the top of the netting anyway, so you don't get to see them as much. So we were happy that we got to see at least one monarch. We saw another one later in the day too, but I think I actually have a video of the one flying by, and it was so cool to see. So then we kept on going to World Showcase. We had a Frozen Lightning Lane, and I don't think I mentioned, but we had lightning lanes for all the rides that we did. So that was super helpful. We didn't wait more than 5-10 minutes for anything. So we're heading to Frozen. Juniper loves Frozen, so we were happy to do that ride. And we waited like an extra ride to sit in the front, because it's so hard to see like kids in the photo if you're any of the rows, not the front row, especially if someone puts their hands up or something. So we waited for the front row, and Juniper still had her like face, but not as funny as the last couple times. So maybe she's getting more used to it. But we had a really good time on Frozen. And then when we went into Frozen, the line for Anna and Elsa was 30 minutes. And I was like, well, we have time to kill before dinner. Let's just go see what the line is after the ride. And it had gone up to 40 minutes. And I had brought a little dress for Juniper to meet Anna and Elsa. And I was like, you know what? It's inside. It's AC. Let's just wait. Like, it'll be fine. So we went and we did the wait for Anna and Elsa. I think it ended up being about 30-ish minutes, but we were talking to people in front of us in line, so it made the time go by super fast. And it was so worth it. Juniper just loved meeting Anna and Elsa. Like, it was probably one of the highlights of the trip for her. And she was showing them her dress and like balling it up, and she gave them hugs, and it was just really, really cute. So happy that we did that. And then we walked over to dinner at Chefs de France in Epcot. And I always recommend like checking the app, because you can map out the fastest route from like wherever you are to whatever you're going to. And we checked the map, and it actually said to go like the front of World Showcase, like up and back towards like the UK, and then that way, instead of going all the way around the other way. Definitely helpful. So we went and did that, and we had dinner, and we were pretty much seated right away. I think we were like 10 to 20 minutes late on every reservation except for one, which I'll get to in a second. But usually because we were late, that was how long they were taking to seat people. So it worked in our favor that we were basically getting seated when we got there. And it was never a problem that we were late, but it did help us in the fact that we weren't waiting forever to get seated. So then we had dinner in France, and Juniper was so funny at that dinner. She was literally sitting at the table, like being silly and putting her arms out. And she really liked the mac and cheese there. Like, all the food was really good. And we were on the dining plan. So they had two different options. You could either, there was an option where you could get an appetizer, entree, and dessert with the dining plan, or you could get an alcoholic drink, an entree, and dessert, and no appetizer. So my mom and my sister did the appetizer one because they wanted the French onion soup. They still ordered a drink. We just had to pay for it. And then I just did the drink with the entree, which I don't know. I probably should have just gotten the French onion soup because it looked really good. But that's what I went with. It would have been a lot of food though, because they give you like a baguette. Everything was really, really, really good. And the mac and cheese was really good. I was surprised that Juniper liked it because it had like maybe rosemary in it, but she gobbled it up. So that was a win. And then we had tried to get a Remy Lightning Lane for the end of the day, but nothing ever came up. So we decided to just go over to the UK and get a couple of drinks before we left the park for the day. I got a Leaping Leprechaun, which is my absolute favorite. I think it has like whiskey in it. It's just so good. If you've never tried a Leaping Leprechaun, you need to try it. It's in the UK at the Rose and Crown pub. Go and get yourself one. I think my sister just got a glass of wine, but it was so good. So good. And then we just took the Skyliner back to Riviera. We did miss the fireworks, but we saw them from the Skyliner on the way back. So leaving when we did, we didn't have to wait like the super long line to get back on the Skyliner, which was nice. Because I hate that line. And it's always hot, and it's moving, but it's slow moving. So we were happy to miss that line. And then we did go swimming that night, but it was just like a quick little dip. So then the next day was our Magic Kingdom day, but we did delay going to the park because, again, it was so hot. So we spent the morning, we went to Gasparilla Grill. We had to get our refillable mugs anyway for the dining plan. So we went and got those, and then we just decided to have breakfast right at the resort, which was really good. The line was long when we walked in, but it went pretty quick, and we just got our food pretty much right away. Then we went to the pool. Spent probably about 30 minutes at the pool. We just went to the quiet pool right by our room, and it was so nice because they have like the 0 entry into the water. So Juniper, like, there was like little fountains that she could go splash around in, and then we had the life vest on her so she could go try and swim. But the life vest was rated for 30 pounds, I think, to 50 pounds, and she's 25-ish. So it didn't really hold her up. So we obviously we were keeping an eye on her, but just couldn't even like let her really try and swim because it wasn't fitting her correctly. But she had so much fun at the pool. And then we went back to the room and got ready and went to Magic Kingdom. Took the monorail over there, so that was a fun little ride. And basically walked up, got their security, and the monorail was waiting for us. So we didn't have to wait at all to get on the monorail, which was super fun and nice to get right on the monorail. And then when we got to Magic Kingdom, we took pictures right when we walked in on Main Street. And again, it was hot, so grabbed some waters from the cheeseburger roll cart and then made our way over to Pirates, which was our first Lightning Lane. And Pirates is nice because I think they've switched it where one side does Lightning Lane and the other side is standby. So Pirates doesn't really seem to ever have a super long wait anymore because the standby line's continually moving. So that's a nice one. Like, if you don't want to use a Lightning Lane, I don't think you really need to, but we had one, so we used it. And we got on basically right away. Juniper really liked Pirates of the Caribbean. And then after that, we went over to Pecos Bill, and we ordered like some snacks and stuff just to cool off. Obviously, we had breakfast that morning, so we weren't super hungry, but definitely enough that we could like pick at something. And so we got like a cheeseburger and some drinks. And then my mom sat there with Juniper while she napped, and me and my sister went and did Tiana's. And that was super fun. We got right on. And then by the time we got back from Tiana's, Festival of Fantasy was starting in like 20 minutes, and Juniper had already woken up. So I was like, you know what? You guys go do Splash Mountain. Or not Splash Mountain, Tiana's. And me and Juniper went and found a spot to watch Festival of Fantasy, like right outside of Pecos Bill. Which there was a lady that was like saving a whole row of seats, and she didn't like want me to stand next to her, which was annoying because like there's going to be people all around you in like 5 minutes. So I hate waiting for parades for that specific reason because everybody gets so crazy about their spot and what they're saving and all that stuff. But we ended up having a pretty decent spot. I wish I would have picked a different spot in hindsight because there was like a stone pole not too far next to us. So like, and you couldn't go past the line on the ground to get a better view. But I think Juniper was able to see plenty. And Daisy came over and gave her a high five. I was a little sad. There was like people getting the attention of all the characters behind us, which was fine. But Juniper had her little Sleeping Beauty dress on, and Prince Philip didn't even notice. But it was okay. It was like, I don't know what he would have done, but a lot of the characters would like look at her and bow, which was really cute. And she just had so much fun watching the parade. Like, watched the parades, all the different parades, like 20,000 times since we've been home. So she definitely enjoyed the parade. And then we had basically so many lightning lanes for the whole day. After the parade, my mom and sister, they got stuck on Tiana's for a little bit. They were actually watching the parade from like the loop, like one of the top loops when you come around. So once they were done with their ride on Tiana's, they met up with us and we went and did Haunted Mansion, which when we came out of Haunted Mansion, it was downpouring. I did hear the thunder as we were walking over, so I had covered our stroller, which thank goodness, because it would have just been soaked, absolutely soaked. So we went on Haunted Mansion, we did Peter Pan, we went over to the carousel, and the carousel took forever. I think that was the longest wait of the whole trip, which the carousel is usually a 5-10 minute wait, but like I think the line was pretty long. And then one of the times we were waiting, someone was standing on like the outside of a horse with her kid, and they had to stop the whole thing and have her move, and that was a whole thing. And then when we got on, we sat there for like 10 minutes before they even started the carousel. And Juniper was getting like fussy. She was like, this isn't even worth it. But we did get on. So that was nice. And then after the carousel, we went and did It's a Small World. Then we did Under the Sea. And then it was time for dinner. And by the time we walked from Under the Sea over to the plaza, Juniper had fallen asleep. And we were like, oh no. Like, because she had taken such a short nap in the afternoon. And thankfully, we were actually on time for our plaza dining reservation, and then they were 30 minutes behind seating us, which was fine because Juniper was sleeping. We were under a covered awning, like it was still raining out, so that was fine. And then she was still asleep by the time they called us for the reservation, and thankfully, they let us roll the stroller into the restaurant, which I was so thankful for because when she was a baby, like we brought her when she was 3 months, when she was 6 months, and every time when we brought her at that age, it was fine. We could bring the stroller in, no problem. And then since then, every time she's been asleep in the stroller, we're always like, no, you really gotta wake her up, which like, it's the same stroller. It's just a different size child. Like it's not taking up any more space, but thankfully at the plaza, they let us just roll her right in. She slept the whole time for dinner. So that was a nice like break for me, not trying to keep her entertained the whole time. And the food was really good. Highly recommend the plaza because you look out at the castle, which is just a nice view. Dan and I are going to eat there and we go on our trip in July because the food is just good. I got like the barbecue pork sandwich or something, and that was really, really good. So definitely recommend the plaza. There's just not a lot of good dining options in Magic Kingdom. Like in Magic Kingdom, Tony's is not great. Plaza's good. Skipper Canteen, if you're not adventurous, like it's not a good option. Be Our Guest, it's 2 dining credits. Cinderella's Royal Table, 2 dining credits. Liberty Tree Tavern, if you're not craving like a Thanksgiving meal, also not really a great option. So we were happy with the plaza, and it was really, really good. So that's what we did for dinner. And then by the time we finished dinner, when we came out, like the rain had stopped, but it was cold. Like for having had a day that was like 90, feels like 99 degrees, and then to come out and like there was a breeze coming through. So we took some pictures with Juniper, like a sleeping beauty in her stroller. And then we went and bought some sweaters. So I got the one that has, or Mom and I got the one that has like the princesses on it, the circle princesses. And then Calista got the Tinkerbell sweater, which I had never seen before. It was really cute, but she loves Tinkerbell. And then Juniper, we found like just like a pink zip up sweater. Basically, by the time we had bought the sweaters, I think the heat had come back, but it wasn't like oppressively hot. So it was just nice to have like a cozy sweater, and we took some more pictures, and it's like my favorite time of night in Disney with like the magic hour going on. So that was super fun. And then it was time to head over to Tomorrowland, and we did People Mover, and then we went to Tron and we did Rider Swap, which Rider Swap for Tron, I almost said Twan. For Tron was different because they for the last hour of the park, they make you all get into the line. And I didn't clarify with the guy that I had a lightning lane for Tron. So like my mom would have just or my sister would have just needed like to get an extra lightning lane on her Magic Band for the second ride. So instead, he had us all go through the line, which just felt illegal to be carrying Juniper in the Tron line. Probably cool for her because when is she gonna, like, it's gonna be years before she gets to see the Tron line. So I had to carry her through, and then they just like there's a door between the locker rooms, and they just had me stand on the outs like the other side of the locker rooms, but like the your people will be exiting by you, and wait for my mom and my sister to get off the ride. There was no seat. There was nothing. Like I just had to hold Juniper for probably 20-25 minutes. That was a very long time to just hold her. And there was like other people that had been in the standby line. I get it because there's a chance you might not get to be able to ride the ride, but we didn't have standby. We had lightning lanes. So I don't know why they made us do that. And like I see all these like videos and pictures of Universal and Epic's like rider switch rooms where they have like a comfy area, an air conditioned room, and things for kids to play with. And they were just like, here, stand by the lockers and keep your child entertained for 20 minutes while your family rides. So that was kind of weird. I mean, I'm glad I'm the one that had to hold her for the 25 minutes, not like my mom or my sister. But it was just kind of odd in terms of rider switch. But we survived, and then I got to go back on with my sister and ride for a second time with her. And so that was really fun. And then after time, we had 10 minutes before the park closed. So my sister and I like sped walk over to Space Mountain because we had a lightning lane to do Space Mountain. So we did that right before the park closed. And that was a fun way to end the day because I love Space Mountain. And then we headed out of the park. And we, like I said, we were staying in Grand Floridian, so we had the choice. We could either take the monorail, the resort monorail, we could take a boat, or we could walk. And the monorail line was super long. The boat was probably 1 to 2 boats of people that we would have to wait behind. So we were like, okay, everybody's good with walking, so we're going to walk. And when we were walking, we got stuck at the bridge, the swing bridge for the electrical water pageant. And that was probably about like a 10-minute delay because overall the walk took us 25 minutes from the park to the hotel, the resort. And 10 minutes of that was waiting for the swing bridge to come back after the water pageant went away for the night. And I think we started walking around 10:15, 10:20. So if you're walking around that time and you don't want to be stuck at that bridge, maybe don't walk it. Maybe wait for the boat or the monorail. I didn't mind, but I think my mom was like, this is annoying. She kept saying, if your dad was here, he would not like this. But I think she was saying basically she didn't like it. But it wasn't a bad walk, and it was at our pace. So we could walk fast, we could walk slow. And then where the path spits out, it was literally like right next to our room. So that was nice. So we didn't have to also trek through all of Grand Floridian to get back to the room. So it was a nice walk, in my opinion. And I liked seeing the water pageant get put away because it was a new experience for me. So that was fun. And then the next day was our Hollywood Studios day. So we got ready that morning and we got in the car to go to Hollywood Studios, and somehow we got lost. I don't know if like I turned my head for 2 seconds to talk to my sister in the car, and I think my mom might have missed an exit. Like I think I said go to the right. I think she went straight. I don't know because I turned my head and I assumed my mom was reading the signs, but I should know better than to assume that my mom was reading signs, but it was fine. We ended up on the I-4 in probably like a 20-minute delay, but Juniper fell asleep in the car and she needed like a good car air conditioned nap. So it was fine. And when we got to Hollywood Studios, we even sat in the car for longer to let her get a good nap. So that was fine at the end of the day. But the only thing that stunk was, so when we got out of the car, we had been in like this really, really cold air conditioned car. And then we're in the hot Hollywood Studios parking lot. It felt like the lava, like the surface of the sun. That's how hot the ground felt going from the really cold car to the parking lot. And we were literally like the last row that they parked in that parking lot. In hindsight, we probably should have paid for preferred parking that day because you get like whatever the daily cost of parking is, you get that off of the preferred parking. So for like $20, we could have been like close to the entrance. And to do the trams, you have to fold up the stroller. So I was just like, I'm just walking it. Like, you guys can do whatever you want. They both walked it, but I think they wished that they had hopped on the tram. But it was fine. It was just a long, hot walk. And then we made our way into Hollywood Studios, took some pictures again. And then we made our way back to Toy Story Land. And I was definitely frustrated when we were going down like the one handicap ramp from like by Mickey and Minnie's to Toy Story Land. Like that's a two-way street. You shouldn't have to wait behind people at any point on that. Like there should be people going down, people coming up. And there was 3 people who were blocking the one whole side of the ramp, like standing in the shade. That's the only shade apparently they could find on the whole park, which I get. Hollywood Studios severely lacks in shade, but they're like blocking everything up. So I was like, this is not a great place to stand. And I felt bad because people behind them thought I was talking to them. I was not talking to them. I was talking to people who were blocking up the ramp. So that was stressful. But everybody's hot, everybody's cranky. So we get into Toy Story Land, and the Woody statue's right there, and Juniper loves Toy Story. So she's like, Woody, Woody, Woody. So she's super excited to see the Woody statue. And again, it's hot. So we go to the PhotoPass guy, and I'm standing like under the umbrella. Like the PhotoPass guy has an umbrella, and we're the next ones in line. So I'm just under the umbrella, waiting my turn. And the guy turns to me and he goes, you need to back up. I'm like, okay. So I backed up like to the edge of the umbrella shade to keep Juniper under the umbrella. Like she's 20 months old and it's a bajillion degrees out. Like, how could this be a problem? And he picks like a crack on the ground. He goes, you need to stand behind that line. And so I was like, what? He goes, pretend the floor is lava. I definitely gave him a very dirty look because what are you talking about? I can't stand under an umbrella. And then like the person he was taking a picture of was the last person, I think, of his shift because then somebody else came out and like switched with him. So he was definitely checked out for the day, done with everybody. But it was just a weird, like, cast members just aren't usually like that. And up until that point, I had been thinking, like, wow, we've had really good cast member interactions. Like, everybody's been so nice and so helpful, letting us pull the stroller in last night. And that guy was just not having it. We did take the pictures. They came out cute. And thankfully, we didn't have to have him be our photographer because I was not super thrilled with him. But we didn't say anything because what are you going to say? Yes, I'm going to stand under your umbrella. I don't know. So we took the pictures and then we went on Slinky Dog and we set up the rider switch so that I could ride twice, once with Calista and once with my mom. And me and Calista went on the ride. It was super fun. Switched off. My mom came with me and we went to go get on the ride and the cast member was like, you don't have rider switch, which I looked in the app after the fact, after talking to her, and I very much did have a rider switch. So I don't know what was going on in Hollywood Studios. It was a weird day. Thankfully, she didn't give us a super hard time. She just like let us go. But I don't know what was going on that day. It was just weird. And then my mom and I, so we get on Slinky Dog finally. We sit down, we take off around the corner, and we get stopped on the ramp going up. And we got stuck there for like 15 minutes in the hot, hot sun. Got evacuated, which I was not mad about getting evacuated because that's always been like a bucket list Disney thing for me to get evacuated from a Disney ride. My mom was upset because she didn't get to ride Slinky Dog. But, and then sitting in the sun for 15 minutes was awful. They did give us a bottle of water when we got off and a return lightning lane for Slinky Dog, which we didn't get to end up getting to use because of the way the day went. But they did their best to make it right at that point. But my mom was definitely sad that she didn't get to go on Slinky Dog. But I got to go. So I got to go and get evacuated. And then after we did Slinky Dog, it was time for us to go do Tower of Terror. And my mom and my sister were going to ride first, and then I was going to do the rider switch second. So I sent them on their way, and me and Juniper went over to like the animation courtyard. I was pretty sure that the new show, Continuous Day show, was going on. So we went over there, and we got to meet Donald Duck. They had like a whole thing going on in the courtyard. Donald Duck, Daisy, and Goofy were all like out and about, milling around, taking pictures with people as they walked up. And then so we parked the stroller. We went into the show. I don't even know what it's called anymore. I think it's just the Disney Junior Play Show. I'm not really entirely sure. Get Animated, maybe. And that used to be like 20-minute interval shows that you'd have to like wait in line and go in, and the characters would be on the stage, where now it's just like an all-day dance party. And it was so much fun. Whoever came up with that idea, like, kudos to you. It was so much fun. There was Pluto, Mickey, Racer Mickey, Timon, Vampirina, Fancy Nancy, Doc McStuffins, and I think one other character. I feel like I'm missing something. I always forget one person. I can't remember who the other person was. Did I say Pluto? Yeah, I think I said Pluto. But yeah, they were all just in there dancing with kids, taking pictures, like high fives. It was so much fun. Juniper loved it. And we spent probably about like 10, 15 minutes in there. It's AC, so like you're not hot, you're in a building, you're cooling off. There was benches along the back, like no one yelling at you that you're getting too close to characters or standing in somebody's umbrella shade. Like it was probably my favorite part of the whole Hollywood Studios day. And so we had a really good time there. But then my mom and my sister, they were over at Tower of Terror and they were setting up the rider switch so my mom could ride twice. So if you have rider switch, you don't have lightning lanes. The person, how would that work? If you don't have lightning lanes, the person and the person who's riding twice and then the person who's going to do the rider switch, they would both get lightning lanes. If you have lightning lanes, only the person who has to ride twice would get the rider switch. So for Tower of Terror, my mom, we had a lightning lane for everybody, and my mom just needed the extra lightning lane to ride a second time with me. So they walk up and they're like, we need to set up rider switch. And that cast member was like, well, I need to see proof of a child under the height requirement to give you the rider switch, which that was like the last rider switch we did. So we had done Tiana's, Tron, Slinky Dog. I think there was one other one that we had done too. Maybe it was just those ones, but none of those had required to see Juniper to give the rider switch. So I don't know why Tower of Terror was the only one that required it. Like even Slinky Dog in the same park did not need to see Juniper. Like she was not with us when we set up the rider switch that the lady said I didn't have, but she was not with me when I went to that cast member. So I don't know what was going on. And if my mom had called me and told me that they were giving her a hard time, I would have just said, forget it. I just won't go on Tower of Terror. But they did end up giving it to her. My sister was showing, she's like, these are pictures of her. Like, I'm wearing the same outfit. I was just with her. She's in the park. And the cast member was like, well, I haven't done anything nice today, so I guess I'll give you your rider switch. I just don't know what was going on at Hollywood Studios. Like, every time I think about it, I'm like, what? We weren't doing anything wrong. We were using rider switch, which is a legitimate Disney program for people with kids who can't ride rides to be able to ride rides. We weren't trying to get extra lightning lanes on top of what we were doing. It was weird. I don't really know what was going on. So that was interesting to say the least. But they did give my mom the lightning lane. And it's like, what's one person really gonna cause? Like, you would recognize my mom and my sister if they were coming up to you like every hour to get a lightning lane. One lightning lane isn't going to break down the system, but people must be really abusing either rider switch or those types of things in Hollywood Studios. That's the only thing I can think of, because Hollywood Studios was the busiest park out of all the parks that we went to. Like Magic Kingdom was dead. Epcot was relatively fine, other than like when people got out of work at 5 p.m., like it picked up a little bit, but like the ride lines weren't super long. Animal Kingdom wasn't super busy. It was just Hollywood Studios. So that's the only thing I can think of, is that it was hot, they were busy, and there's just not capacity for all of the people in the park at this point. And people must be scamming something, because we were getting accused of scamming things when we weren't scamming things. But overall, it was a great day. Tower of Terror was fun when I finally got to go on with my mom. And we did like the slow-mo using like the Tower of Terror drop as like our Glambot camera. So that was funny. We did have a good time on Tower of Terror. It was just like those weird little interactions here and there that were just like, what is going on? Like what? And then after Tower of Terror, we got some ice creams and we just sat on Sunset Boulevard and ate those and like people watched. And then what did we do after that? Oh, and we went and did Mickey and Minnie's. It did start raining at that point. But at that point, we didn't really care. We were heading back to the room soon. So we went to Mickey and Minnie's, did that. Juniper really liked that ride. She had a good time. And then we left for the day pretty much after that. So it was really short Hollywood Studios day. Not because of anything that happened, just because that was always kind of the plan. There's really not much for toddlers to do in Hollywood Studios. The only thing that we didn't do that was kind of like on my list was to meet Olaf, which he only had a 5-minute wait. There just wasn't time though, because if we would have gone to meet Olaf, would have delayed us even more. And we still had to get back to our room because we were having dinner at Narcoossee's, which we all definitely wanted to like freshen up, redo our hair, redo our makeup. So we made sure to have enough time to do all that back at the room. And it was downpouring when we got back to Grand Floridian. So we decided to valet park the car so we wouldn't have to run from the parking lot into Grand Floridian over to the room, which was a good move because then the next day when we checked out, like they could just bring the car up for us. And that was definitely worth the money that we spent. But I was missing, because back in the day I had the Tables in Wonderland card. If you were an annual pass holder or Florida resident, you could get the Tables in Wonderland card, which would get you 20% off of meals and free valet as long as you had eaten at the restaurant or at the hotel that night. So if we would have eaten at Narcoossee's, we would have gotten the valet for free. So I was definitely missing Tables in Wonderland that night. They had never brought that back. So that was like a pre-COVID thing. But yeah, we had dinner at Narcoossee's that night, which was so good. Definitely my favorite meal of the trip, which it's always like my favorite meal if we eat there. I got the double lobster, sangria. It was delicious. I did have to basically not eat my dessert because at that point Juniper was just like done for the day, or done for at least the dinner, and I didn't want to like ruin everybody's dinner with a whiny child. So I took her out and we went out in the balcony, and it was like almost time for Happily Ever After anyway. So we got a really good spot to watch the fireworks, and that was the only time we watched Happily Ever After the whole trip. But it was nice. It was like on and off raining, but the balcony's covered for Narcoossee's. So we had a perfect view of the fireworks, and Juniper loved them. Tinkerbell did not fly, probably because the storms and then the rain, and it was kind of windy. So I wasn't surprised that she didn't fly, but at least she wouldn't have been, Juniper would not have been able to spot Tinkerbell from where we were across the water. That would have been impressive. Oh, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, she's getting so big. Juniper is getting so big. Like she's already almost 21 months. And when we came back from Disney this week, like she slept, like I said, all day that first day. And probably from all that, like she's just talking up the storm now. Like she's repeating things way more and trying to say things like the first day we got home and she said, "Let it go." I'm like, where did that come from? I mean, no, we just came from Disney, but oh my goodness. But yeah, she's just getting so big so fast. And I always feel like she's so big on the trip. And then I like edit the vlogs and I get them up months later. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh my God, she was so little. She's so much bigger now. So I really like vlogging the trips for that reason, because she's just so tiny and then she's getting so big so fast. Plus, I always feel like I'm taking so many pictures and videos of her, and then like months down the road, I'm like, I wish I would have taken more pictures and videos of her. So I always try to remember that in the moment. Like, I don't care. Like, I have the space on my phone. Let's just take the pictures and videos of her. But yeah, she's getting so big. But yeah, so we had dinner, watched the fireworks, and then we went over to the main pool area and let Juniper like run around the splash pad because it was still open. But man, those dump buckets, they are heavy. Like it didn't ever hit her, but we were kind of worried like, okay, go down the slide a couple times and then we'll just go in the pool because you're going to get hurt in this area. I'm surprised that Disney does the dump buckets, but I guess the older kids probably like the dump buckets. I've heard that Port Orleans French Quarter, I think, is the one. They have a really good splash pad area. So now I'm kind of like, now we got to stay at Port Orleans French Quarter so she can do that splash pad. Hi, Jen and Joe, if you're with her. Took my daughter 5 times now. Yeah, it just, time flies. It really, really does. I think this was Juniper's, I don't even know how many trips she's been on. She was 3 months, 6 months, 11 months, 15 months. This was her 5th trip, and she'll be on her 6th trip in July. Yeah, I figured it was just you, Jen, but I didn't want to exclude Joe if he was with you. Dan's at work, so it's just me. But yeah, we did the splash pad, and then we went in the main pool just for like a little quick dip, and then went back to the room. Did not pack up that night, and I really should have packed something up that night because the next morning was a mad dash to get everything packed up because the room looked like a bomb exploded. Like 4 women and girls in a room is just asking for trouble. So we had to get all that packed up. And I felt like every time I was like taking 3 steps forward or 1 step forward, I was taking 3 steps back, trying to get everything packed up. And then Juniper's pulling out all of her hair ties all over the room. So that was a bit of a stressful morning, but like fun stressful. We did get everything packed up and got out of the room right at 11. And we had bell services come up to the room and grab our bags. And then we went shopping for a little bit. Because at that point we had not been to any of we had been in like the little convenience store gift shop to get milk and stuff, but we hadn't done any of like the main Floridian gift shops because we went the night before, but they were closed after dinner. So we had to go to the gift shops. We went to the gift shops and I got Dan like a really nice polo. And what else did we get? Some pins, some fun things. Oh yeah, Ashley, I would love to help you. So just send me a message. Like you can send me a message over on Instagram, or you can send me an email at what is my email? c.colton@magicalvacationplanner.com. Yes, I'm going to do a haul, of course. We didn't buy that much, which I was surprised, but I think there's enough to do a haul between like the stuff that I got and the stuff that Juniper got. But there really wasn't that much time to go shopping. And I find shopping with the stroller so annoying because you just have all the people like zigging and zagging in front of you that it gets like to be too much. But yeah, so we went shopping and then they had the little photographer. If you've been to the Grand Floridian, next on the second floor, like near the elevator, they have the little photographer with the glass slipper and like a backdrop set up. So we were like, well, let's take some pictures with Juniper. And the photographer was amazing. I really wish I would have gotten her name to give her a cast compliment. I need to look and see if I can just give a cast compliment for her without knowing her name. Like obviously I know what time we took the photos, but she was amazing. She was like, just put her down, see what happened. Let's take some pictures. So, and they came out so cute. Dan literally thought that we paid like hundreds of dollars for these photos and they were just included with the photo pass, but they came out so cute. They are some of my favorite pictures of Juniper ever. Thank goodness we had Callista, her Aunt Ka, as Juniper calls her, with us because that's what made her smile for the photos. But they came out so cute. So we did those, and then it was time to head to the car. And we had, like I said, we valeted the car the night before. So they brought the car up for us and loaded the car for us. So like having bell services take the bags and the valet, like that was all so worth it. So we didn't have to do anything with the bags. And then we headed over to Animal Kingdom. Did not get lost that day, so that was a plus. We were parked in Butterfly, which I love being parked in like Peacock or Butterfly because you can just walk to like the tree-lined edge and take the path, and it's not that long of a walk. Uh-oh. Live might be ending soon. Juniper's stirring. But yeah, we went to Animal Kingdom. We did Navi River, we did pictures. We ate at Satu'li Canteen. Juniper took a nap, and then me and my sister went on Flight of Passage. And then after Flight of Passage, we did Navi. And then we did the Safari, Everest. My mom and my sister did Dinosaur, but me and Juniper waited to meet Dino, Chip and Dale. And literally we're the next ones in line, and they cut the line off because of thunderstorms in the area. And I was like, no. I begged the guy. I was like, please, can you just take one picture of us? And everybody else had walked away that was in line. And thankfully, he was so nice. He had seen Juniper like wanting to hug Goofy when we were walking on the path. So I think he felt so bad. He was like, one picture. He took the phone. He took a picture. I looked like I'm about to cry in the photos because I was about to cry. I was so sad for her. She wanted to meet them so bad. Like, I get it. There's thunderstorms in the area, but she just wanted to meet them so bad. And I knew that was going to happen. Like the guy was getting the phone call as we're next ones in line. I'm like, oh no, waited 20 minutes for nothing. But we did get our picture with Chip and Dale, and that's all she wanted, was to just be close to them. Like, she doesn't need to hug them or anything because she just likes characters from a distance. So that's definitely more of her vibe. And then, yeah, we pretty much had to leave at that point. And for some reason, it felt like it took forever to get from Animal Kingdom to the airport. I actually dropped... I'll tell Dan you said hi. We've been watching you guys' vlogs. So he's like, we want to go to Rosa Mexicano now. That looked so good. definitely gonna add that to my list. But yeah, it took forever to get to the airport. I felt like, and I dropped my mom, my sister, Juniper, and all the bags off at the door. And then I went back and returned the car. And there was like one of those guys with like the luggage thing. So he took all the bags, which was super helpful. And then when I came up, so there's two counters for Southwest. There's the Northeast counter and then like everybody else. And I stopped at the Northeast counter. I said, is Buffalo flying out of this counter? Yeah, she does pretty good with characters as long as she can see them coming. And it takes her a second to warm up to them. Like when we did the Disney Junior like dance party thing, she had so much fun after like 5 minutes. Like she'd go close to, like she wants to hug them all. She sees them, she goes, hug, hug. But then when she goes to hug them, she doesn't want to hug them. So it's funny. It takes her like a second to get used to all of the characters. But once she's like in that mode, she loves them. But we'll see how that goes in our next trip. We're going to do Garden Grill with her in July. So we'll see. But yeah, so the guy took all of our luggage and I stopped at the counter for the Northeast one. I was like, hey, is Buffalo flying out of this counter? And the guy goes, yep, this is Buffalo. So I go to grab everybody, get all the luggage, come back over, and they're like, oh no, this counter's closed. So we had to turn everybody around, go to the other counter. It's like that was the whole point of me stopping to ask if this counter was open. It was fine at the end of the day, but it was just like, why? Why did you say it was open? But we made it. We had like minutes to spare to get on our flight, which was nice because we didn't have to like entertain Juniper for hours. And then that flight home was pretty atrocious with Juniper. She was all over the place, but she was so overtired. Like I said, she slept pretty much the whole next day. She was exhausted. But yeah, Juniper is fully awake right now, so I'm going to have to end the live. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. But yeah, I gotta go. Bye.